if you remember last week, we were playing with the threshold, and as I raised it, more and more objects were coming in, and then all of a sudden, the middle just all turned white, and I said that had to do with the light was not uniform. Um, this little discussion we'll have now on more sophisticated thresholding will bring out that point. So the way this microscope works is I have a white light in the center, and light falls off with 1 over distance squared. So the image in the center is bright and it's falling off gradually. Our eyes are pretty good at adapting to that, but when you set a hard threshold, if the overall brightness of the image is changing, you'll reach this point where everything starts turning white. Here's a picture of Sudoku, a little puzzle, and if you notice with your eye carefully, this is more illuminated. This is brighter than that part of the image. And so when they apply a hard threshold, you'll see this tear where the background over here is below the threshold, the background over here is above the threshold. So not only are you seeing the characters, but you're seeing now the whole background is lighting up. So this is a really hard image to do a fixed threshold on. You have to get a little more sophisticated. Let me pause there and see, does it make sense why this half of the image, even the background, is lit up? Let me see thumbs, 3 thumbs, and I'll go on. Why is this background lit up?
Can I ask one question?
I'd love you to, yes, please.
So in the second image where global thresholding is applied, so there is no averaging done, right? Like it was done in the previous
Correct.
slide.
No blur. Yeah, and blurring wouldn't help you here. Blurring's only good if there's the changes in brightness is very localized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because here the whole background is brighter than the threshold.
Correct.
It's a little hard for your eye to see, but you can see this is dimmer over here and lighter here. Well, when you apply the threshold, it's very clear that this brightness here is greater than the brightness on the left.
Okay.
You could almost tell from this that the light source is in the top right corner by the way it casts the light. But yeah, there's no averaging, and it wouldn't have helped here. But we'll look in a second in some fancier averaging techniques.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you for your question. Following on that question, so here's an adaptive one. What this one does is it looks around a neighborhood. Sometimes they call it a kernel, a neighborhood of values, and says, well, I'm going to assume the average around the neighborhood is now my baseline. So I'm going to look at anything that's greater or less than the average. And that's what this is doing. It's saying, well, here, let's look at this area. Let's say the average is about 20. So it'll set the threshold a little above 20. So anything brighter than the threshold, it'll appear white. Anything dark will appear black. As it moves over here, the whole background goes up. So now it sets a new average. So it's sort of like blurring, but it's a little more sophisticated. It looks in a larger area and determines what the local average is, and then compares the pixels to that local average. So you can think of it as kind of spatially adaptive. And you can see how much it improves. Even so, big variations in the background are filtered out by this mean threshold method. And this one's just a little bit fancier. Instead of taking a square area, let's say 3 by 3, that would be 9 pixels, and taking the average of all of them, this one weighs it towards the center with a Gaussian curve.